Hi, I'm Dr. Tori Olds, and in this video, I would like to read to you a transcript from an actual session of coherence therapy. I know the best way, to learn is actually, to see what something looks like or sounds like. So I was delighted that this client gave me permission to just write verbatim our session so I can read it to you. It will be very anonymous, obviously. I won't identify her in any way. So this person coming in is about 24 years old. She's specifically wanting to work through some return of symptoms of anorexia. She'd had anorexia about 10 years previous when she was 13, and now those kind of fears and food restriction was returning. She had a lot of anxiety seeing people eat, certainly eating herself. So we did about 4 sessions together, and that was enough to really help her resolve her, new symptoms that were coming back. And I think largely because we were able to identify, the schema underneath that was launching those symptoms. So I'll just start from the beginning. In this particular session, because it's the third of the 4 sessions we had, I was referring to what we had discovered in the previous session and sort of reminding her of that. And then just asking her if some of those pieces we had been talking about the week before still felt true. So I kind of reviewed what we talked about the week before, and she says, "Yeah, that sounds true." And then this is how we start. I say, "How do you know? What happens inside? What tells you it's true?" "I think I was just thinking about eating and feeling guilty." Just pause with that and be curious. See what you know about that. "Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if guilt is the right word." What does it feel like? Worry. Worry that if I eat now, what is going to happen? What do you worry would happen? What do you expect to happen? Most immediately it's like, oh, I'll get bigger. Okay, so just let yourself complete the sentence. I better not get bigger, because if I do, 10 times. I better not get bigger, because if I do, I'll be out of control. Keep going. I better not get bigger, because then, I don't know. I'm not used to following that thought through. Give yourself time. Is it okay to stay in touch with this, or does some part not want to? It's just not much is coming. Well, be patient with yourself. And if it's a resistance coming up, like I better not know why, I better not finish that sentence, then let me know. Does it feel like there's a reason to go blank, or that it might just be taking a second because it's new? I am kind of going blank. I'm not sure if it's a type of resistance. Well, just as an experiment, try saying out loud to me, "Tori, I don't want to finish that sentence." "Tori, I don't want to finish that sentence." Just see if that feels true or not. "Yeah, I guess I don't really want to, or maybe I just don't know how to." Does it feel like it would be safe to know how? If you suddenly knew how and the information was coming, would that be okay, or would that be a problem? "I feel like that would be a problem. I'm just realizing this as we're talking, but I feel like there's a part of me that doesn't want to solve this because I associate that with gaining weight. So there is like a resistance. Even though I'm like, okay, I don't want to be on this track again. I want to get help with this. But maybe there's an even stronger part of me, even just like emotionally, that's like, no, we want to hold on to this." Good tracking. "Yeah, so I think there's like a resistance that's like, no." "Yeah, no, I better not answer that because I don't want to figure this out. If figuring it out means shifting it, which means I could become overweight." That was me saying that, and the client laughs. "And there's a part of you that's pretty certain that would be bad, a bad outcome." "Yeah." "I put a little words in your mouth and I don't want to make an assumption. Is it like I sense I will actually overeat and become overweight, or even just that I will gain a little weight, but even a little weight is dangerous?" "I don't want to gain any weight." "Okay, yeah. By the way, I really appreciate your willingness to stay specific to your experience and be honest about it. That's so helpful." So that's the piece we can slow down with then. We don't want to push it or strong arm it, just understand it. Like, wow, there's a part of you I mean, there's a part of you that does want to be free from the trap, but there's another part that does not want to be free from it, but wants to be exactly where you are. That if you shift out of that, there's a danger there. Yeah. So let's just slow down to talk to that part and just to see what it knows about what is so dangerous about even a little weight coming back, or what's so dangerous about letting go of the restricting eating. Yeah, I already gained 5 pounds before moving because that was my deal with myself, because I was looking a little unhealthy, but any more just seems really scary. Scary means dangerous, right? Yeah. So picture something for me for a moment. Let's say in this work, we make some real strides. And it's a couple weeks from now, and you're realizing that work with Tori really helped me loosen up. I feel looser and freer to eat a little more. And you are eating more in the range of typical eating. What's happening inside as you picture that? Yeah, I just got really anxious. Okay, so let's stay with that then. Just ask directly to the anxious part. Ask it to finish the sentence, I must not gain any weight because if I do, I'll be unhappy, I'll be out of control. What does unhappy or out of control look like? Uncomfortable in my body. Every time I move, I'll be aware of what extra is there. When you are very skinny, you become less aware of your body in a way? Yes. So something is uncomfortable about being aware of your body. Yeah, and I'll feel embarrassed. What do you mean by embarrassed? It's more like anxious discomfort. So if we could just let that anxiety voice speak, what would it say? This extra body is going to cause me what kind of suffering or danger? It's like this extra body will just keep coming. It's not going to stop. I don't know what kind of pain, but in my mind, it's like it will cause me pain. So it will keep coming, pounds after pounds, out of control. Yeah, out of control. Is it that other behaviors would be out of control too, like my drinking or my sleeping, or is it just that my size would be out of control? I think everything. When I'm thin, it feels like a grounding force in keeping things under control, even though my rational mind knows it isn't, but that's how it feels. No, I love that you're going with your non-rational mind and really opening that there's something grounding or a containing force in being small. Yeah, definitely containing. Okay, so I'm just going to make some little notes here, partly to slow myself down and just to make sure I don't miss things, because this is from a deeper part of your mind. And if we can just hang out there and keep letting it slowly really be known by us, is it feeling okay to continue talking about it? I know there was a part of you that was hesitant to make progress on this, but is it feeling workable to continue becoming more conscious of what's there? Yeah, it actually feels like it's really helping. Okay, so if I can pull some threads together and sort of repeat back what I've heard, and then we can just see what comes next. Okay, so right at the beginning was a sense of, I don't want to change this. I mean, on the one hand, I want to change it, but on the other hand, I almost need to obstruct the therapy process because I really don't want to change this, because if I do, if I'm healthy, in a weird way, I'm not going to be happy. It's almost like, and I guess I'm now putting new words here, so tell me if it's fitting, but it's almost like either I'll be absolutely in control or absolutely out of control. There's not a gradation in between. Yeah. So if I lose this restriction, I'm going to fast train out of control. So even a little body makes me feel alarmed. Where is this going? And I feel ungrounded and uncontained. Yeah. Okay, so did all of that feel true? Yep. She gives a little laugh. Even the part of being completely in or out of control? So just see if your mind knows anything about how you learn there are only those two possibilities. Partly it makes sense that I would think that because after I started to eat again, after being really sick when I was 13, I think you know that I was really underweight when I was 13, so I had to leave school for 6 months and had to drink special shakes and eat a bunch. And once I got my appetite back, it's like I couldn't stop eating. I was so hungry. So I think that makes me a little scared because I know that there is actually a pendulum swing when you haven't been eating. So I think I get scared of that. Okay, great. So tell me about that period when you were suddenly eating again. What was that like for you? What happened with your health or your relationships? Like, what was it like? What unfolded? Yeah, it was really strange because I'd spent all this time trying to convince my mom I was eating, like when I was really sick, that once I was eating again and starting to get hungry, I was really embarrassed. So I would start, I said, hiding that you were eating. Yeah, I would hide I was eating. It went from hiding you weren't eating to hiding that you were. Yeah. And what else was going on in your thoughts or feelings then? Were you judging yourself? Were you worried that she was judging you? Yeah, I was definitely judging myself. I don't think I was necessarily worried that she would judge me because that was like her dream come true at the time. But I just felt so embarrassed that I just wanted to eat so badly. Let's slow down here. Is it okay to let that part speak a bit? You know, you wanted to eat so badly. Yeah, as we're talking, I'm having this clear memory of just needing to eat when I started to gain a little weight. And there was this box of checks that I kept behind some other stuff that I would go to eat between meals. And it felt like the worst thing in the world to me if someone found out. Oh, what would it mean if they found out? That I was so gross that I couldn't eat enough. Now I think it was because, like, I was starving. But, so now you can look back and say, my body was needing the calories. I was starving. I actually needed that food. But at the time, it felt like it meant you were, what bad thing? Out of control, weak. Yeah, very weak. When you hear that voice inside, does it sound like it's coming from anywhere in particular? Is it linked to a person in your life? I don't know. Just see what feels familiar in this, that kind of quality of attitude or belief, says my dad. I even think I got the word weak from my dad in relation to eating because he was always saying that my sister and my mom were weak. Because they couldn't control their eating. Wow. He would say that my mom was making up her hypothyroidism and that kind of thing, and that she just really wanted to eat. Like, she didn't have enough discipline. Yeah, if she could just eat less, she wouldn't have all those symptoms. What was it like to have your dad be so judgy toward your sister and mom? I just remember this one specific time when he was talking to me about my mom, and I remember thinking, I wish he would leave. I wish he would stop talking. I wish he would stop telling me this. Because what was the impact on you? I remember feeling scared in some way, scared of how much hate he seemed to have for her. Even though I was young, I could sense that was pretty messed up. It scared you. Yeah, it was scary, and then he wouldn't leave my room. So I was like, oh, I really wish he would leave. They would stop talking about this. And then I remember thinking, I have to avoid that. You have to avoid that. That being the hate. It wasn't just judgment, it was hate. He seemed like he was repulsed by her. Disgust, hate. It strikes me almost like something toxic coming out of his mouth. Yeah, especially since I really love my mom. And she's always been the best person to me. So when I heard him say that, I was just like, that's really awful. Yeah, it's awful that he would be so hateful to your mom in front of you. Yeah, and then he'd ask me to be disgusted by her too. And he asked you to be disgusted by her too. Yeah. Just notice he was asking me to be disgusted by her too. And what that meant for you, what that meant you had to do. Yeah, what's coming to mind is like, I wasn't willing to be disgusted by her. So I just did the next best thing, which was to not become fat. In other words, to be disgusted by yourself. Yes. Is that right? Let's slow down because I was making a bit of a jump, but I think that's what I hear you saying. Yeah. Try picturing him and saying, Dad, you are making me disgusted by Mom. I can't do that. I refuse to do that. But I'll do the second thing that is closest, which is to agree that it is disgusting, at least in me. Yeah, and for some reason it feels like, I don't know if the word is zero sum, but it's like, okay, if she's that much disgusting to him, then I need to be negative of that disgusting. Take your time and go with that. If she's this much disgusting, I need to be negative of that. Yeah. So just let your psyche show you what's the negative, what's undisgusting. Just stay with that for a bit. It's almost like my being underweight cancels out the fact she's overweight. Like you have to make up for her. Just stay with that. Just let the logic of it, the knowing of it emerge, how it helps, what it does for you to balance it out like that. I'm thinking of another memory when I was working on a farm one summer and I was hungry all the time because I'd never done that much work. And the 5 other farm interns were also hungry and we're all eating a lot. And someone commented, all the interns are eating so much. And I was like, oh no, we are eating too much. I need to eat way less to make up for how much everyone else is eating. And I'm trying to figure out why there seems to be such a math to it. Yeah, it almost seems like a math, which doesn't make any sense. On the one hand, it isn't exactly logical, but on the other hand, it does have its own logic that we really want to understand. And it may be something you've learned, but let's slow down, like with the piece with Dad. Yeah. Picture him looking at your mom. Actually, picture 2 versions. In the first, he's looking at you and your mom, and you're kind of the same in your eating behaviors. And just picture what he does with that. As he sees that, just notice that first. What happens? Yeah, the first feeling I had was like, oh, now we've both been written off. And why is that bad? Is it bad for him, for you, for your mom? It's like now we're both worthless and nothing we will ever do will be enough because of that fact. It's an unforgivable sin, or at least it taints the way he sees everything else. And in that image, it may be odd to say, why do you care? But what's so unbearable about that? About him writing you both off? You are both tainted to him. Is that it will provoke scary behavior on his part, or that you'll just lose any possibility of positive attention you long for? Well, now I could care less. I just think he's a weirdo. But if I think of myself back then, yeah, what was your young self caring about? What was she trying to avoid? If he writes you off, puts you in the tainted weak category, yeah, he might say mean things. Yeah, a moment ago you said he would come into your room. So when he said mean things, you couldn't get away, and it was overwhelming and toxic. Does that seem to relate here? Yeah, he would say mean things when I was at his house. Whenever I was at house, I just felt super trapped. There was nowhere to go. Sounds just like a horrible, unbearable, painful thing to have him be so hateful. Yeah, I keep coming back to all these memories of him saying negative things about anyone we'd see who was overweight, even just someone on the street. He was like the opposite of a loving person. How are you doing just recognizing that that's your dad? Yeah, he just sucks. And how are you doing just letting yourself feel that he just sucks? I hate that he's my dad. Sure, he tried to make you hate your mom, who was your one safe person. He tried to make me disgusted by her. And you know, I never got disgusted by her once. Take that in. Yeah, I didn't even think she was overweight. He always said that, but I never thought of her as overweight or having an eating problem. Looking back now, I know, but at the time, I didn't even really think about it. So let's slow down here because something seemed really important about your saying, I was never disgusted by my mom. First of all, that's just beautiful. But I also wonder if managing to do that, like managing to build a wall or a psychological barrier between his hate and your mom, was to take all of that onto yourself. Yeah, that does seem to fit. It's almost like any way I do agree with you that that's gross, it's going to be about me. That makes sense. And ask inside if on a felt level it makes sense. Like, Dad, I refuse to agree with you that mom's disgusting, but I will agree with you that it would be disgusting for me to behave that way. Yeah, that feels really true. Like it felt even more true when I dropped in. Okay, I'm going to write that down so we can stay with it. Because there's a refusal to agree with Dad. Okay, let's just see for a moment to make sure we're really with this in the correct way. That applying Dad's judgments to yourself in such a deep way earned a little bit of space for those judgments not to apply to Mom. See if there's anything else you know about that. Yeah, it definitely feels like a transferring thing. Like if it's true, it's got to go somewhere. That feels really true. It's almost like there's some inner physics to this. Like nothing can be destroyed, so I'll just take all that energy onto myself to protect her. Yeah, that's how it feels. So picture your dad again and say, you believe that being overweight is weak and disgusting, and I had to agree with you. First of all, does that feel true? Yeah, it does, but I didn't agree with him about other people. Yeah, people like Mom. Yeah, it just seemed like that message had to go somewhere and I didn't want it to go to her. Picture telling him, Dad, you believe that Mom's being overweight is disgusting and I refuse to believe you. But that means, see if you can help me with the words a little bit here, but that means that if it's true for Mom, for me, it doesn't have to be true for her. I almost picture like you're taking a bullet for her in a way. Well, that makes it sound heroic. Maybe it was. I mean, it was also, of course, for your own sake, because you as a child need your mom, the one safe person, to be intact in your mind, not disgusting, but good, and someone I can trust and rely on. In your mind, you would have needed that. Yeah, and it's almost like if I just internalize that negative message and keep it close and only about me, it doesn't have to go on to my mom. That feels true. So just take a second to see how it is to have that feel true. It's almost like if I can be good enough, maybe he will love us. Us, interesting. Just take a moment and notice the us. Just notice the us. You wanted him to love both of you. If you were good enough, maybe he'd love Mom? Actually, in this moment, I'm not even thinking so much about Mom, but my siblings. I have 2 younger brothers and 2 older sisters. What is it like to hear the word us come out of your mouth? So I made a little slip there. I meant to say out of your mouth, and I said out of your mind. What is it like to hear the word us come out of your mouth? And she said, yeah, mind and then mouth. And we laugh. Yeah, when I said us, maybe he will love us, I thought, do you mean me? But no, that doesn't feel nearly as true. It was very much an us. So let's slow down here, because maybe if we can understand this, it will help understand the piece about making up for others, like how there's a math to it. It's like with your mom. If I take all of it, you have 0 of Dad's hate. But also if I do all the work of being perfect, it's sort of like as a group, we have this much, and that will make Dad love us all. Client laughs. Yeah. What's that like to acknowledge? You were trying to help. Yeah, it feels very true. I have a question. When you say you were trying to make him love us, is it because you needed his love or because he needed to love you, like in order to be stable, or both? My first thought is that if he loves all of us, then nothing bad is going to happen when we're visit him, or like he's not going to get angry at any one of us. So making him pleased with you was a way to avoid him turning anger on all the siblings. So I'm actually going to pause the direct back and forth, our conversation there. We just go on a few more minutes, but I know this is getting long. In the next few minutes, we just kind of do a little bit more exploring the mathematical nature of it, how she really did learn that her dad has these like stores. Like at one point I say, oh, it was like you're trying to fill up his love stores so we'd have more for everyone. And she said, no, it was more like I was trying to drain some of the hate out of him. So that makes sense, right? It's like he could be hateful to Mom, which she needed in her mind to protect, hateful to the siblings, and one way of kind of lowering his hatred and making him feel better was by pleasing him so deeply in terms of being so thin. So the last few minutes of the session, we just worked together to craft that statement, of the schema. And this is what we wrote on the card. Dad, you want me to be disgusted by Mom, but I refuse to be. I need to love her and to feel she's safe from your hate. So I will take all that message, all that sense of weight being disgusting, and apply it solely to myself. I will absorb it all. If I absorb that message that being overweight is disgusting, it follows that I must be thin. But there's another reason I must be thin as well, and that is I need to drain some of the hate out of you, Dad. I need to be so thin and perfect to lower your level of hatred and judgment. If I can decrease your hate, maybe you will be less cruel to us, to me and my siblings. If I throw myself in the opposite direction of what you hate, going above and beyond even your expectation of thinness, then maybe we will all be a bit more safe from your hatred. So I hope that what I just read can kind of serve as an example of at least the discovery process in coherence, where you're really working to slow down, get curious. I wasn't making a lot of interpretations. Sometimes I would lead or have a curiosity, but really we were trying to let her mind speak for itself and reveal the urgent purpose around not eating. So we did end up, the next session having some disconfirmation work around, no longer living with Dad and being safe. And as I said, that this piece of work we did really did help resolve the symptoms. but I just want to make a few points. During our work, I really never did counteract her symptom. I didn't try to convince her to eat or manage her anxiety around eating or challenge her sense of her body as being too big. Not that doing those things wouldn't have been a valid approach, it just wasn't the approach I was using. Second, I didn't do anything to argue with the rationality of her deeper mind. There was even one moment she said, "This is irrational," and I said, "Yeah, but go with it. It has its own rationality." So I wasn't doing a lot to challenge, the deeper mind sense of what is real. And third, I just want to point out that this is a great example of how unique and specific schemas are. It wasn't just, "Oh, I'm not eating because in the culture there's a lot of, messages that girls need to be thin," or something like that. It was more around something very specific, a very specific danger, her view of mom being tainted, and also just the hatred that just felt so bad in the household, a very specific danger that she had learned to avoid in a very specific way. By the way, I hope lingering with a piece of work like this really kind of brings home the point that we're all doing our best. Like, there are no such thing as character flaws. There's just things that we've learned that are influencing how we think and feel and treat ourselves and others that we're usually not even conscious of. That is a point I try to make whenever I can. By the way, I just want to make one final point, which is obviously this series has been about coherence therapy as one way to kind of unlock memory reconsolidation and, update our schemas. But I do want to point out that memory consolidation is not owned by Coherence Therapy. There are many ways to bring it online. And that point is actually one that Bruce Ecker makes very clearly. I mean, yes, on the one hand, he wants to teach coherence therapy, but on the other hand, perhaps an even more passionate mission is to give us therapists some kind of common language and understanding of what creates transformational change, so that as we're talking across theories, we can better understand each other. One thing I've enjoyed about learning coherence, or sort of learning that framework, which Bruce Ecker calls the therapeutic reconsolidation process. It's like using memory reconsolidation purposefully in therapy. But one thing that's beautiful about understanding the therapeutic reconsolidation process is that now I, as a therapist, when I'm trying to kind of help any aspect of that come online, I can much more flexibly draw from techniques from a wider range of different kinds of therapy. So in some ways, the possibility here is to begin moving toward a more unified frame for what therapy is about. And that topic is one I will be discussing with Bruce Ecker in the next video. So please stay tuned. Welcome, friend, come inside. Thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed my content, I would love if you would consider subscribing to my channel. You can even become a member for early access to videos. Also, if you would like to connect with me and the community I'm building while gaining access to exclusive content, please click on the link below to my Patreon page. A special thanks to my patrons. You guys really make it possible for me to focus on creating videos and being able to offer them for free, so thank you.